a place of meeting. I'll read the bold print, and why don't you answer me in the italicized print? Out of wood and stone, out of dreams and sacrifice, the people build a home. Out of the work of their hands and hearts and minds, the people fashion a symbol and a reality. May this house be truly a place of meeting, meeting one with another in warmth and joy and openness, meeting one with another in courage and love and trust. May all who enter here trust one another so surely that they dare to share the deep fires that burst into anger as much as the sweet spring waters that swell into laughter, the slow erosion of wounded tears as much as the soaring song. May these walls know silence as 100 hearts search inward, each for its own small spark of hope that might otherwise be snuffed out in the noise. May these rafters hear the voice of the child, we long for that, as surely as that of the orator, and the sound of the lute, the clack of the typewriter, let's say the click of the computer, the swish of the broom, and know that all are as holy as the shout of 1,000,000 stars. May the rain fall lightly on this house, the sun shine warmly, the winds blow softly, and bless it as a place of joy and peace. This morning, I'm going to be talking about covenant, and I thought I'd start by reminding you about, might be 5 or 6 years ago, 3 of us. I'm so excited about their singing. I'm on soprano, high G. Wait a minute, I'll lower this a little bit. Here we go. About 5 or 6 years ago, 3 of us, Diana Marr and Lorraine Kujala and myself, individually created altar cloths to replace what was then burlap that had been here for about 25 years. And we chose our own topics, and from the deepest part of my heart came a desire to create mine to honor the covenant. So covenant has been a draw for me and a passion for me since coming to the meeting house, really. And this is what it's in. I can't just hang it up because it's a tablecloth. I'll do it like this. This is how it goes. And this side, I'm sorry, Jen. This is the dwell together in peace. And that's under the peace of the dove, the wings. And this is seek the truth in love. So you see the journey of the seeking and the heart. And to help one another, those are the helping hands. That's our covenant. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Commission on Appraisal. You've heard me mention it before. It's a national committee of the UUA, and I serve on it. I have 2 more years of service. It's a 6-year commitment. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the idea of covenant and what covenant means to a Unitarian Universalist. And the third thing is actually, and Mary did not know this, how human beings shine a light on something important. Confirmation. The charismatics would say confirmation. And the fourth thing is asking for your help to shine that light. So the Commission on Appraisal is a national committee of the UUA, and I, as I say, have been a member for a while. We come from all across the country, we're different races, different genders, different backgrounds. Currently, I serve as project manager, which is sort of like your 6th grade teacher, keeping you on deadline. But soon, in June, I'm going to become the chaplain for the group, and am I looking forward to that change. The commission was founded in the 1930s, and it's a unique thing. It's designed to be an independent watchdog committee. We choose an important issue to study, and we publish a book once every 6 years about. And we're charged to be on the lookout for what might be the next big issue on the horizon facing the faith movement. That's how people prefer to name it. We're not a denomination. We are a faith movement. To see what issue is looming, that it might be a controversy, or it might be something we're missing, what's looming on the horizon that would seriously affect our faith movement. It was designed back in the 30s specifically to be independent of the Board of Trustees. Literally, nobody can tell this commission what to do. It's quintessentially UU. You would not find anything like this in literally any other denomination in the country. The only people that we answer to are you. The General Assembly votes us in and could vote us out. The trustees tried to get rid of us 4 years ago, actually, tried to get rid of the commission to save money because we come from all over the country. We have to fly in, and is study really that worth all the money spent for the fly-ins and the hotel stays? So they wanted to get rid of it. And the General Assembly, 3,000 members strong, representing the congregations from all over the country, voted to keep the commission. So we answer to the people of the UU. We're not appointed, we're voted in. So it's unique, because in most nonprofit organizations, even let alone churches, but in most organizations, you answer to the Board of Trustees, but that is not the case with the Commission on Appraisal. The topic we've chosen to study for this time is not exactly covenant. So much ink has been spilled about covenant in general and covenant for UUA that it would be redundant to go back over all that. But what we're studying is how do we unlock the power of covenant to deepen our UU faith identity and help manifest beloved community in our own lives, in our congregations, and in the world. It's the how that we're after. We feel that tug, most of us, I think, when we repeat those affirmation words. We kind of feel it. It's something like what we feel when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, perhaps, or another kind of rousing moment. There's something about dwell together in peace, seek the truth in love, help one another that stirs our hearts. There's power there. And I see it all the time among us, that power in operation. Well, how to unlock it even more? And some congregations don't even know what their covenant is, don't repeat it during their service. It's, in a book on a shelf or in a file folder in a cabinet. It's not of use to them, but we really use it. A covenant is a promise only, that's all it is. And some of us know what it means to say I do. You've heard ad nauseum, I'm sure you'll hear it again between now and June when we actually celebrate our date, but that Kim and I said I do a very long time ago. Maybe you said I do when you became a U.S. citizen, or if you took the stand in a court of law and pledged that you would tell the truth. It's a big deal. It's bigger than the two of you, if it's a marriage kind of I do. It's it's beyond that. It is between the two of you, but it is to some other entity. And some of us would say we're pledging that to God. Some would say the universal web of mystery, or would call it the spirit of life, but it's something that we sense is bigger than just who we are, and it might be the all of us that is bigger than just us two. Those we say the I do in front of, maybe that's that other that we promise. I promise you, but I promise you in front of, or in the grasp of, that which is bigger. For the UU, the term covenant is really special, and that's because we are not a creedal faith. And that's a creepy word, creedal. But what it means is we do not stand up and say, I believe in. And you who have come from other traditions know that the rest of those lines are God the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, right? The Apostles' Creed, it's called, or the Nicene Creed in Christianhood. The UU faith movement does not have a creed. So what holds us together? What brings you here and not to the Methodists down on Shank Painter Road? What is it? Most of you would say, well, it's the community here that draws me. It's the work we do, the mission we do. And I'll draw your attention then back to our affirmation, which is about the community here, and the mission we have, and the work we do. That's our foundation. The creedal churches have the belief up front, and you buy in or you don't. If you come and become a member, meaning baptized in most circumstances, if you come, that means you are buying in to that which is up there. That's your belief system. We say this is what you have to believe, and you come and believe it. The UUs don't do that. The UUs say, come with all of your beliefs or non-beliefs. Some of us sitting in these pews are atheists, or agnostics for sure. Come. We will honor and respect your search for truth. We will hold you in community. You don't have to believe these theological tenets to be a UU. But if there's any have to involved, the have to is to fully be a UU, you have to make that promise to each other that we will dwell together in peace. And if that's not possible, we're going to work it out. We're going to, we're going to seek the truth. We will each together seek the truth. And I will know that your dismissal of Christianity, let's say, is your story. It's what you are. And I will respect that, even though I am still something of a Jesus believer. And we will help one another when it's time to move out of the house and into assisted living, and how I'm overwhelmed, how am I going to do that? I know I have a community that's going to pitch in and help. Or on another more intangible level, I know that if I stand up at shares joys and concerns and say, this is on my heart and it's heavy, that you'll think about me. You'll send me, I have a friend who says, loving energy. Even if you don't believe in God, send me your loving energy. We don't have a set of beliefs or dogma. We come together to live harmoniously. We covenant with each other here in this community, and by extension, with other UU congregations. So we don't talk about this much, but we're in covenant with Brewster. We're in covenant with the UU in Falmouth. We're in covenant with Plymouth. And then, so I'm saying, we're in covenant with the UUA. Kim and I visited Ireland a few years ago, and we went to the UU meeting house in Cork. And there were 6 of us there. It's a Catholic country, after all. They lit the chalice. We said an affirmation that was very similar to ours. Not all the churches say the same affirmation, say the same covenant as we do. But there is a universality that is recognizable. It might not be exactly the same words, but the chalice is the chalice. And the way a community is shaped together, not by we're believing this dogma, but rather I'm respecting and holding what it is you believe as we seek together to figure out how to live and what to do. And it all goes back to the Pilgrims who landed here, as we are being reminded, just shy of 400 years ago. They brought with them to this very harbor the idea of a congregation that would rule itself. They were Congregationalists, and so are we in terms of how we govern. They promised each other that they would walk together. That's their famous phrase. We will walk together, helping each other in all sorts of ways. The Pilgrims made a lot of terrible mistakes. We are not holding them up as paragons of virtue 100%. We know this. They were cruel sometimes, certainly adversarial to the native people, ultimately, the Wampanoag. But they were also cruel and adversarial to any white people who did not agree with their particular brand of Christianity. They leave England for religious freedom, and then they're cruel to people who don't agree with them. Okay, so we don't hold them up all the way, but what they said about congregational polity, which means the congregation votes. The congregation owns itself. We are this church. What they said 400 years ago, we live out here still when we gather together for our annual meetings, when we have special meetings where we vote on specific things. This is a governance composed by us, very special. It rings American, doesn't it? It sounds democratic. It sounds like coming up from the people. And it's American in this way, too, in that that's states' rights. Federal rights, quote unquote, would be how we join in association with the UUA. We are babies at that. We only recently created the Unitarian Universalist Association. This was in the early 1960s when Unitarians and Universalists merged. And then they created a centralized association. The word centralized sends shivers down all of our spines. We are Unitarian Universalists. We do not want to be centralized under any governance system. So great care is taken that we're not up into some hierarchical body. We are autonomous. We are completely autonomous. We could vote tomorrow. If Bruce call a meeting, we'll come and we'll vote on whether we still want to be part of the UUA or not. Maybe we just want to be the UU meeting house of Provincetown just ourselves. We could do that. There are many reasons not to, because the association helps us in many ways, and Americans understand a unification of states, that together we can accomplish more. But we have the power to do that. Just as Americans, we have the power to dissent and reorganize, create amendments to our Constitution, all that kind of thing. As you use, we still retain that right. So it's a peculiarly American faith movement. So we make promises to each other in community. We do it every single Sunday. We say those words. We commit ourselves anew each week to each other, to the community of the UUMH. Other religions have what they call sacraments. We don't have sacraments. Baptism, confirmation, Eucharist, or Holy Communion. We don't have that. But the definition of a sacrament is an outward expression, a ritual, of what you believe. And Christian churches would say that a sacrament is instituted by God to give grace. When we make our covenant by habitually standing, by reciting the same words each week aloud, that's a ritual. It couldn't be a simpler one. But the fact that we all stand, we all say those same words in unison, that is a ritual. The way our lighting of the chalice is a ritual. It was not instituted by God, and most of us would wonder about the idea of giving grace. But I think we might all agree that there is a moment that happens when we recite the covenant, a transcendent moment, when we feel the wholeness of the community standing with us, when we feel the words, feel the meaning in a deep way. Time stands still, and we honor something made by us and of us and yet greater than us. So I'd argue it is an amazing grace. It's reciting our covenant is really, in a way, a sacrament. We voted on our covenant. We had some disagreements about it. Some of you might still feel a little, There's a photo ensemble down on this side, a wall in AB Hall that shows the new covenant, each of us, maybe 8 of us, holding up the new words of the new covenant. We didn't change much. We only changed a little bit. But the worship committee thought about it for months and months and months and months and talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And it came up for a vote, and we talked about it then. And I think we waited a little. And then we came back together and we voted on it. We vote on what our covenant says. If you have an exception to the covenant, you can come and speak to Ellen Anthony, who's the chair of the worship committee, or for sure bring it up to whomever is on the board or on that kind of a committee, and we'll think about it. The whole group will think about it. The covenant is ours. It's primary. It holds us together. It's a bond. It's extremely important to the life of our particular congregation. Our worship committee, our board meeting, I think maybe other committees too, begin and end their committee meetings with a recitation of the covenant. That's how important it is to us. It's ours. It strengthens us. And I have an idea, and this is where you come in. My little piece of the work that the Commission on Appraisal is doing on covenant, my little piece is I want us to start a Sunday, an annual Sunday that you use all over the country would be invited to do. The way we do Water Communion Sunday or Flower Communion Sunday, we're not the only churches that do that. Not all, because you usually use and some don't, but most UU churches have Flower Communion Sunday. Most UU churches have Water Communion Sunday. I would like most UU churches to have Covenant Sunday, where that's all we sing about and think about. That's what we maybe prepare for it. Maybe there's a week coming up. Maybe it's Covenant Month. I don't know. But that's my idea. That's what I want to do. And you, I think, are my petri dish. You are the guinea pigs in this. If you would like to join me, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love us to, which we are completely free to do, create our own Covenant Sunday. And I will record transcribe the whole process. What's the process that a congregation would go through to create this event? What time of year would it best happen? What would suggested readings be? What would the suggested hymns be? And then offer that, when we publish the book in 2 years, as a template for the congregations all across the country and the world. Because Flower Communion Sunday just started in the 1940s. I mean, in UU, nothing's written in, testaments that go back 2,000 years. If we want to create a Covenant Sunday, we can. So let's do it. Let's create a Covenant Sunday. That's my idea. Now, I already hear a lot of the arguments. Sounds like a ritual to me. Don't want a ritual. We're UUs. We don't do ritual. I get that. So let's create one that isn't ritualistic. It's too ritualistic, let me add that. Because we are ritual people. We sing happy birthday to each other. We bring out birthday cakes with candles. That's a ritual that we all buy into. Which it is a strange ritual, I would say to you, that as a symbol of life, celebrating a symbol of life, we blow out candles. It's sort of antithetical to what you would think. Isn't that true? It's really weird. But I looked it up. Thank goodness for Google. And the idea is ancient. It goes back to Greece. When you blow out a candle, your wishes are like the smoke rising to heaven. So that's why we blow out candles. And we use a cake because a round cake was brought to honor Artemis, the Greek goddess. So it's a round cake because her symbol was the moon. So a round cake to symbolize the moon, and the candles, we sing, we blow it. So we are ritual people in a way. So that's the idea. That's what I would really like to have us think about. And you'll be hearing from me. Maybe we'll pull together a subcommittee. The worship committee has already listened to me go on and on about this. But maybe we could form a subcommittee of people who would think about what this ritual would look like and what I want to show is how it will improve the life of a congregation. So, I thank you for listening this morning and for thinking about it. And I ask you now to stand again and recite our affirmation, and then we'll close with our closing hymn, which is 113. But first, let's stand one more time, and say our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this meeting house. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Amen. Please remain standing, and we'll sing 113.